All right, let's get back into boot camp, this time with tutorial 27. I probably should have done this tutorial at the very beginning of the two-hit process that I've been covering, but I'm gonna splice it in here with tutorial 27. And as you can see here, we have a board set up with several different examples of guns, vehicles, and units being fired at. And I am going to go through examples of each of the target types and how they work a little bit later in the video. But first I'm going to go through a table showing, again, at a high level, at a nutshell level, what the various ASL target types are and what they mean. If you want to skip through this summary and want to get straight to the examples, just use the timestamp chapters below on the video timeline and you can skip ahead. Otherwise, stay tuned for the table that I'm going to pop up here. Okay, here we have a table showing the three different target types, and across the top we've got the target type, ammo limits, the area of effect, the units affected, whether they leave residual firepower or not, and how the TEM diral modifier is used, and resolution. So let's go back to the TEM diral modifier. You see a little red 1 superscript. Remember that TEM, you can see at the bottom of the table here, TEM can never apply to both the two-hit diral and the resolution diral. It applies to one or the other. You can't double dip on that, depending on what the target type is. And the wording for that is in section C.3. So make sure you don't apply the TEM to both two-hit and to the resolution diral, only one. So let's start with vehicle target type. And you see there's a 2 superscript there. That means it must be used when firing at an AFV, an armored target. And the ammo limits are armor piercing, APDS/APCR, which is a special ammo, so depletion numbers apply. Heat, high explosive anti-tank, and HE. The area of effect is a single vehicle. Now, depending on what type of ammo you're firing and whether that vehicle has passenger riders or crew, they could be affected in addition to the vehicle. But no units outside the vehicle in the hex can be affected if you're firing using the vehicle target type. Units affected, single vehicle, unless vehicles are overstacked. There's a chance you could hit. If you miss, you could possibly hit another vehicle. Does it leave residual? Never. Vehicle target type never leaves residual firepower. How is the TEM applied? It applies to the two-hit die roll when you use vehicle target type. And resolution, there are specific tables for this. So when you're using armor piercing, you use the AP 2-kill table, or the APDS, APCR 2-kill table, the heat 2-kill table, or the HE 2-kill table. So depending on what type of ammo you're using to fire at the vehicle, those are the 4 different tables that you would use when doing that. Now the second type of target type is infantry target type. The only thing you can fire using that is high explosive or HE equivalency. And you see a 4 superscript here. That includes light anti-tank weapons such as Panzerfaust, Panzerschreck, bazooka, Piat, etc. And HE equivalency for AP ammo. Depending on the caliber, you get 1 to 2 firepower firing armor piercing at a target, like a squad. You can get 1 or 2 firepower. So if a gun does not have high explosive and only has AP, you can fire AP ammo at an infantry unit, and it's going to have 1 or 2 firepower factors depending on the caliber. I forget the caliber breakdown. Maybe it's 37 or 57 millimeter, and below is 1 and above is 2, something like that. It's in the rulebook. Area of effect, location, and it leaves a typically a half-inch acquisition. Units affected, all units in that location. Starter kit players, there's no such thing as a location in your rule set. In ASL, locations location is an important concept. So if you have a building with a ground level, first level, and second level, for example, you must target the floor that the target is in. So if you have a squad in the first level, you say, I'm going to fire infantry target type at level 1, and that's the units in that level, which is a location, are the only ones affected. And AFVs are immune to the infantry target type. So if you have a squad underneath a vehicle, not as a rider, um, and you fire infantry target type, the AFV is immune to any results. Does it leave residual? Yes. But remember, if you choose to leave residual firepower, you lose your rate of fire. You get one or the other. TEM die roll modifier. It applies to the 2-hit die roll for infantry target type. And then resolution, full firepower equivalent on the infantry fire table with no TEM die roll modifier because that applied to the 2-hit die roll. Unless there's a critical hit. If there's a critical hit, you do use the TEM, but you reverse the modifier. So if you get a critical hit on a unit in a stone building, it's going to be, actually it's going to be double the firepower, -3 on the resolution. Okay. Now area target type is the last one, and that's always used, must be used when firing mortars, and you can choose to use it when firing guns or vehicle guns, firing HE. And the types of ammo that you can use are high explosive, smoke, white phosphorus, and illuminating round. Remember, mortars must always use area target type. They have no choice. Area of effect, hex, and it leaves a 5/8 inch acquisition counter. Units affected, all non-aerial units in the hex. Thus, it affects all locations. So if we go back to our example where we had a building with level 0, ground level 1, and level 2, and you chose to fire, say, a mortar at that hex, and you got a hit, it would affect every unit in every location. Now, a building is a little bit special in that if it's a stone building, the top level would get a +3 to the infantry fire table. The next level down would get a +4, and the lower level would get a +5 because of the structure of the building. Residual, yes, again, at the expense of rate of fire. The TEM die roll modifier, so for area target type, this applies to the infantry fire table resolution, not to the 2-hit roll. It's generally easier to get a hit with area target type because I think what it's simulating is you're firing more than one round. You're kind of blanketing the hex with more than one shot, essentially, and thus you're spreading your firepower over an area. You affect every location in the hex, so the firepower is half the firepower equivalent on the infantry fire table, with location-specific TEM die roll modifier. So if you have units in a shell hole and units in open ground, they're going to get a different die roll modifier on the infantry fire table resolution. Okay, that's it in a nutshell for the 3 target types: vehicle, infantry, area. Vehicle is pretty easy. Infantry is pretty easy. Area, you have some choices depending on the type of weapon you fire, and if you want to affect things in a entire hex, every location in a hex versus just one location. If you're just looking for one location, you might want to fire HE on the infantry target type. If you want to affect everything in a hex in all locations, you might want to use area target type. But again, there's a trade-off between firepower, resolution, and terrain die roll modifier between those two. Okay, now let's wipe this table away and let's go through these examples to see how these units firing could use these 3 target types. So here we just have basically 3 American units. 2 of them have guns, and we have 3 German units, and all three of them have guns. And then you can see the corresponding covered arcs I've drawn for this uh, anti-tank gun, for this Stug 3, and for this anti-tank gun as well. The different covered arcs to see their fields of fire. The two mortars, they do not have covered arcs. They can fire in any direction. Let's start with this German mortar here. He can clearly see this anti-tank gun, American anti-tank gun here. He's a mortar, thus he must use the area target type. And the firepower, if he were to get a hit, would be 50 millimeters, 6 firepower. So half of that is 3. It'd be 2 firepower on this crew. Whether this crew is entrenched or not would determine the die roll modifier. I'm not sure he can see. You might be able to see these guys over here. He could also fire over here, whatever that range ends up being. It looks like it's within range. He has a range of 13. Units in the woods. Again, he has to use area target type to hit. In this case, if he got a hit, German unit got a hit on the American unit. The American unit is in woods, so the resolution would be a 2 -1 on the infantry fire table. -1 because woods create air bursts when mortars are firing into them. Okay. Let's go over to this German Stug. He can only see, can't see this American unit because of all these woods, but he should be able to see this unit here. Yeah. These two units, actually. There is a squad on the ground floor of this wooden building and a squad on level 1 of the wooden building. Now he has two choices. He can fire HE. Let's flip it over and see what kind of special ammo he has. He's got smoke and APDS. Well, he's not going to fire APDS at the squad. He could choose to fire smoke for whatever reason. Maybe the Germans had some units here that were trying to assault forward. He could fire smoke on this hex, but let's just say he's going to fire HE. Now he has a choice here. He could choose to fire area target type, in which case both units in the hex, both units in 2 locations in that hex would be affected at half firepower. Or he could fire infantry target type at either the ground level or the first level, and that unit would be affected by, whichever unit he chooses to shoot at would be affected by full firepower of 75 millimeter HE. Okay, that's the difference between area target type and infantry target type. Every location is hit with area target type. Only one location can be hit with infantry target type. Okay, let's go over to this anti-tank gun. The same thing applies here. He can fire both AP and HE. So he's not going to fire AP since he has 75 millimeter HE. He has the same choice as the Stug, either area target type and affect both locations, or infantry target type and pick one location to shoot at. Now, optionally, he could fire over at this mortar, but that would require him to change his covered arc like that, which would induce a penalty for changing covered arc, a non-turreted covered arc penalty. And he's in woods, so it would be double. So chances of hitting this unit by changing covered arc in a woods is very slim. So he would probably just stay like this, fire on this unit here, and get an acquisition with either a ½ inch if it was infantry target type, or a 5/8 inch if he fired area target type. Let's switch over to the Americans real quick. This American 57L has a few choices to shoot at. Now he can only fire this American M1 57 millimeter can only fire AP, but I think it might have HE. Yes, It does. It has HE special ammo, so it can fire HE. It has a high explosive depletion of 7, starting in June 1944 in Europe. And in 1945, it has a depletion of 7 anywhere that it's used. So let's assume we're in 1944, 1945, doesn't matter. So he's got a HE 7, depletion of 7, so he can fire HE, but let's look at the choices he has here. This one's a little more complicated. He could fire HE at this unit in the woods, it's within his covered arc. He could fire HE at the mortar in the woods here, and in both cases he would choose infantry target type because there's only one unit in the hex in that location. There would be no purpose to firing area target type. But if he rolled, whichever one he fired at, if he rolled greater than 7, it means he will not have fired and he ran out of HE. He didn't have any HE. If he rolls a 7 to hit, original 7, he gets 1 shot with HE. If he rolls less than 7, he fired HE and he still has HE. He can fire it again the same turn or later, depending on if he gets a rate of fire or not. Now, if he doesn't want to fire at these two targets, looks like the Stug 3, a nice juicy side shot on the Stug 3 here, but he's got smoke here as well. So he could fire AP at this Stug. And remember, if you're firing at an armored unit, you must use the vehicle target type. So he would fire AP at this Stug at, I don't know, 9, range of 9, with a +3 hindrance and a +1 for size, the white background on the one of the armor factors. So he'd be a +4 to hit going through smoke and a small target. Okay, those are the, I don't know, 6, 7 quick examples to show the difference between vehicle target type, which was the very last one I showed here. Infantry target type, there were several options for infantry target type. These two over here, and then the option here to fire at a specific location with infantry target type. And then area target type. Oh, one last thing. Forgot about this mortar. It's a mortar. Has to use area target type. It has no covered arc, so it could fire at this gun, or it could fire at this unit here. Has to use area target type, similar to this situation over here. Okay. Hope that's helpful to give you guys a summary of what the different target types are. Boil it down in a nutshell to see the differences between the three and the choices you have depending on the type of gun, number of units in a location/hex, and what type of vehicle you're firing at. The next video, next tutorial, number 20, I'm quickly approaching 30, which is kind of amazing. Part 4 of this 5-part tutorial session on the 2-hit process. I'm going to talk about resolution when you get a hit versus infantry and guns. The previous example, part 2, I did resolution versus an AFV. This time I'm going to talk about what happens when you get a resolution versus infantry and guns, which usually involves firing HE, which some of the examples here showed. So I'll do that, I don't know, in the next week or so. So I hope you enjoyed tutorial 27. Please leave a thumbs up. I'd greatly appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.